All right, welcome to our last lesson for chapter 10. Again, chapter 10, we're talking about all of the different types of renewable energies. And our last type is one that you may not have thought of, but we're going to focus on energy conservation in this lesson. And then at the end, we will do a brief summary of the entire chapter. So learning objective here is that you'll be able to describe how energy can be conserved and will be able to identify good energy use practices. All right, so energy conservation can be thought of as a source of energy because it reduces energy demands, and so it makes it easier to meet future energy needs. So if we look at going forward, how much energy we think we will need moving forward, we can see all the different kinds. So if we continued with our population growing and the increases in technology, if we continued using the same kind of like ratio of energy, these purple bars show where we would be using. But if we focus on energy reduction, those purple bars are what we would be able to get rid of. So many cultural or lifestyle factors have been shaped by the availability of relatively low-cost energy, specifically in developed countries like the US. So some of these things are large homes, outdoor lighting, and large lawns. All of these are things that we just kind of expect to see. We may not all live in large homes, but we don't drive by one and think, wow, that's crazy. Like homes like these are just expected. Outdoor lighting, we expect to see lights on houses. We expect to see the streets lit and all of that. And that's a large use of energy because energy is cheap relatively. And then lawns are something, but they take a ton of energy. Someone is growing that grass, someone is transporting that grass, someone is putting that grass in, and then how much energy is put into caring for that grass. It's a lot. So if the cost of energy were higher, people would be likely to make different choices about what is essential and would evaluate energy efficiency more carefully. It's just like when gas prices rise. When something is more expensive, it makes you pause and think, do I really need to do that thing? Do I really want to spend the money on that? But because energy is so cheap, we use it as we would like. So when we look at energy conservation and like the things that we're using and buying, there's typically a relationship between the cost of an item and its energy efficiency. This is not always the case, but it is commonly the case. A lot of the times, the poorly designed, energy inefficient buildings and machines can be produced really cheaply. They are less expensive, but in the long run, you are using more energy, and so you're paying for that energy. So the short-term cost, the purchase price is low, but the long-term cost for upkeep and energy utilization is high. They're going to use a lot of electricity, use a lot of gas to get through the things that you're using them for, and you're making up for what you saved by paying for that. And then also just upkeep, repairs and things like that, that also plays a part. So typically the cost of more efficient buildings and machines is higher, but the difference in initial price is made up by savings and energy costs over several years, especially if you are using that thing for many, many, many years. So if you've ever bought appliances or TVs or anything like that, a lot of the times they have this kind of yellow sticker on it that's an energy guide. And it says estimated yearly operating cost. And the more expensive thing may say that it costs $50 a year to use. And the less expensive thing may say it costs $150 a year to use. Now, if you only have that thing for a year, okay, it's $100 difference. If the cheaper thing is, $200 cheaper, then maybe that's not worth it. But theoretically, if we're saving energy and we are reducing what we're using, then we're keeping our appliances and our TVs for years. And so over time, that savings does make a difference. And that period of time that you are kind of paying back or getting paid back what you saved or what you paid initially is known as the payback period. So maybe you paid more at the beginning, but then you're saving money, and that's that period where you're saving money to kind of make that back is the payback period. So the government does get into energy regulation and costs and all of that with incentives. So the US and Canada have about twice the per capita energy consumption than other countries with similar economic status. So even other countries that make the same or have the same amount of money, we use significantly more energy than them. And many conservation techniques are relatively simple and highly cost effective. One is LED bulbs. So LED bulbs use about 20% of the energy and last 25 times longer than incandescent bulbs. So most places that most bulbs that you're buying are going to be LEDs, because incandescent bulbs just don't make sense. They are so cheap at the beginning, but they have to be replaced so frequently that it's not worth the money and it's not worth the energy that we are wasting with them. So again, with energy conservation, we have these energy guides. Take a look next time you're at the store and you see appliances or TVs, anything like that, and compare. Other energy conservation techniques are in the home designs that we have. Double paned windows that help keep the outside hot or cold air outside and the inside temperature more regulated, so you don't have to run the heat or the air conditioning as much. So people need encouragement to shift to be more energy efficient. Usually just doing it for the sake of it being the right thing is not enough. And so that's where government incentives come in. So most U.S. government incentives provide economic rewards in the form of tax incentives, or they impose economic penalties. So either you get paid to do the right thing, or you have to pay because you didn't do the right thing, or the right thing. So I'm going to list a few. Higher fuel economy standards for automobiles and trucks are requiring that certain cars or new cars meet a requirement. Is just looking forward to the fact that we won't have the amount of oil that we have right now forever. Tax incentives for those who upgrade insulation, windows, doors, heating and cooling systems, and other appliances. The incandescent light bulb phase out, higher energy efficiency standards for appliances, and investment in more efficient electricity distribution, and then improvement in high-speed rail transportation. All right, I'm going to read through the summary ones really quick. So fuel wood was the major source of energy in less developed countries. Biomass can be burned to provide heat or electricity. Hydroelectric power can be increased significantly but may displace people. Solar energy can be collected and used in either passive or active systems and can also generate electricity. Geothermal and tidal applications are limited by geographic locations. Wind power may be used to generate electricity but requires wide open areas and large number of wind generators. And energy conservation can reduce energy demands without noticeably changing standards of living. All right, if you have any questions, please let me know. And I will see you in the next one.